afternoon and thanks for joining us. I'm Judy Simpson. Vermonters are known for being innovative and resourceful. Those are key qualities for anyone looking to start a new business. A startup is a risky venture, but to help lessen the risk, the Lake Champlain Chamber of Commerce is supporting and challenging Vermont college students who want to become entrepreneurs. Across the Fence's Rebecca Gollin takes us to an event that offers big rewards for college students who have a plan, a market, and a problem-solving abilities.
Labor costs. So we're looking for the people that are out there that might be willing to purchase our tool to then decrease their labor costs, save them money. So we're going to be
These college students are talking business because they're business owners.
So my company's name is Beach It. We are the Airbnb for beach parking.
The students have come to the University of Vermont to compete in a business pitch competition. It's the college edition of a contest called LaunchVT.
Oh, we're going through the patent process now, so we anticipate a preliminary patent before our full-scale patent once we've refined our design. From there,
partners Manny Aratakis and Jack Beauparlant hope that their sweet gadget will speak to the judges. Beauparlant, who was a Vermont Maple ambassador in 2016, came up with the idea.
I'm an experienced maple sugar maker in the state of Vermont. I saw a need with tubing installations and applying spouts to maple sap tubing and also other fittings in the industry, and just saw a need to create a tool that was a little more efficient for the sugar makers in the state and around New England.
To be able to fund further production.
Beauparlant teamed up with engineering student Aratakis during an entrepreneurship class at Vermont Technical College. Over the course of the semester, the two turned the idea into a working prototype.
This is our first physical working prototype that would be an expectation of what our final product would look like. We're going to refine it some more, finish prototyping process, and then go into production.
This pioneering spirit has always been part of Vermont's DNA.
Eric Munson is a professor of entrepreneurship at UVM's Grossman School of Business. He says that in the past few years, he's seen younger students starting businesses.
In the past, the expectations would be we would train them up, and when they would graduate, they would either go off and get a job at a large company, or they would, in particular because they want to stay here in Vermont, make their own company, make their own job to stay here. But we're having students starting companies in their sophomore years now, and I've had a number of students who I've met here who've had businesses before they got here.
The worst part about getting to the beach is finding a parking spot.
I'm a beach lifeguard in Ocean Grove, New Jersey. I love going to the beach, and unfortunately I don't live close enough to the beach to walk. So I have to drive there, and I've gone to the beach many times and circled around for 45 minutes to find a parking spot, and I thought there has to be a better solution, and so that's how Beach It came to be.
Andrew Smith came from Middlebury to pitch his business, which he plans to launch this summer. It's a website and app that pairs homeowners in seaside towns with tourists looking to rent a parking spot for a day at the beach.
In order to develop a business model, I came up with my idea, but I had to see if people were interested in what I had to offer, what Beach It has to offer. And so I sent out a ton of Facebook group surveys about the product and got a lot of great feedback. I have 20 spaces already signed up and 85 people interested in renting.
Communities are built by entrepreneurs and small business owners, and we need more of them.
John Antonucci is the Director of Entrepreneurship at the Lake Champlain Regional Chamber of Commerce, who sponsored the event.
Entrepreneurs, by having an idea and going after it and going down, taking the first step and then the second step, and going down the path of actually creating a business, is an incredibly valuable exercise. That business may totally fail, but everything that they'll learn in the process will make them not only a better entrepreneur, but a better person, a better professional, and it will give them all kinds of skills that they need to be successful in whatever they want to do with their life.
And that's exactly what we do. We teach people. We provide research.
The top three teams of the LaunchVT Collegiate competition split $7,000 in cash. Beyond that, the winning team gets an entry to the next LaunchVT contest, where they'll compete against other startups from around the state for some high-stakes prizes.
We award the winners over $100,000 in cash and in-kind services. And then 3 years ago, we started LaunchVT Collegiate to give entrepreneurs across Vermont's colleges an opportunity to compete for cash prizes. And the winner of LaunchVT Collegiate goes on to compete in LaunchVT.
Organizers hoped that the opportunity to go on to a more competitive arena would give the college teams some real-world experience, pitching their ideas to other entrepreneurs as well as investors. It would give them a chance to get some feedback and maybe even win some money. What they did not anticipate was how successful the idea would prove to be.
It's kind of nice they're inviting a college student to be on the competition, but no one really expects them to win. But last year, Peter and I were able to prove that wrong.
Not only were they able to go to the professional LaunchVT competition in May, they won it. And they actually beat out a team of UVM professors who got second place.
It was the ultimate Cinderella story. I mean, we created LaunchVT Collegiate to have to allow the winners to compete in LaunchVT with the hopes that that might happen. Certainly, that would be an ultimate outcome. We did not think that that would happen in the second year. So it was really great, and it definitely confirmed for us that just because you're a college student doesn't mean you can't run or start a business here that can scale and do really well.
So if I go to Burlington, Vermont, and then you can look through a bunch of different local internships, part-time jobs, volunteering opportunities.
Max Robbins and his partner Peter Silverman won the 2017 collegiate competition and went on to win the larger LaunchVT one a few months later. They worked on their business for over a year before their win, spending a lot of that time practicing their pitching skills.
We were going to every single networking event around just to meet as many people as we could. A lot of it was trying to get them to post jobs on our job platform that we had, but despite that, it was really just getting to know pretty much everyone we could and pitch our business to everyone we could locally.
Their business is called MajorWise, and it's an online network that connects high school students around the country with local internships and volunteer opportunities. The two have been able to get the company off the ground thanks largely to the cash and in-kind prizes they won, including office space here at the Vermont Center for Emerging Technology in Burlington.
The money from LaunchVT really gave us a good year of runway to be able to keep working on our business, plus the revenue we were bringing in, but we were actually able to get employees that could help us with building that, from people to help us with our sales. We could increase our development by hiring additional developers.
It's a trial by fire. You learn as you go. You learn through your mistakes. You learn by doing. And there is a million little things that you pick up along the way that you don't even realize you're learning that become very applicable to whatever you do next in your life.
For many of these entrepreneurs, what's next for them is working on their business full-time.
Since we launched our platform for high schools, we've gotten 16 schools on in 7 different states across the country, which is really good initial traction for us. We're in the middle of raising a $150,000 pre-seed round to give us a year of runway once we graduate until we can make it into a seed round, and of that we have $50,000 committed so far.
As for the collegiate competition, the winners were
Vermont Maple Innovation.
Now, it's time to start thinking about their next pitch competition.
We're very excited for that.
I think in between that, you're going to see a lot of progression in our patent process as well. We really want to bring this, everything we can bring to the table for the LaunchVT competition in May, and really put this thing out to the market.
These entrepreneurs may still be students, but they're learning how to start and run a business in the real world. And pretty soon, they might be hiring. In Burlington, I'm Rebecca Gollin with Across the Fence.
Well, thank you, Rebecca. Joining me now in the studio is Professor Eric Munson. In addition to his work in UVM's Grossman School of Business, Eric also holds a secondary appointment as Associate Professor of Mechanical Engineering in the College of Engineering and Mathematical Sciences. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
So, entrepreneurship and mechanical engineering, that's quite a combination. Tell us a little bit about your background.
Well, a lot of my background is very similar to what is needed in entrepreneurship, and that's a leap of faith. One keeps on taking leaps of faith, and LEAP for me has been a big part of my life up until I came to Vermont 4 years ago. I started out as an aerospace engineer with degrees from RPI in upstate New York and Stanford in California. But after that, I leapt to Germany for 6 years, where I worked for Germany's NASA. Had so much fun there that I took another leap of faith, jumped to Colorado, where I earned an MBA and then a PhD in entrepreneurship. And then took another leap of faith back to Germany, worked at a think tank at the Max Planck Society, studying entrepreneurship for 6 years, and then took a leap to Scotland, where I was for 4 years before coming to Vermont.
That's amazing. So, and you came to Vermont in 2014 for a position that was new to the university. What were you trying to accomplish?
I was here to do two things. One was to raise the profile of UVM in terms of entrepreneurship. There were a number of islands of entrepreneurship around the city, as well as around the university. And my job was to connect the dots, to be that link pin, so to speak. And it's been a lot of fun, and we've built up a lot of new resources for students, as well as faculty, over the past 4 years here at UVM. And
so what are some of the opportunities that are available for entrepreneurship students these days?
Well, in addition to the coursework, there's a growing number of entrepreneurship clubs. We also have a new entrepreneurship space. It's called Hills 20. It's where in the segment when I was doing my interview earlier, there was that green and yellow colorful room. It's part maker space, part classroom, part teaching space. And students can use it 24/7. But one of the more exciting things which came on this line is that's the Catamount Innovation Fund. This is a venture capital fund which is investing in student startups right here at UVM.
Why is the money so important?
The money's important because they have a lot of things to do. They have websites to build, they have prototypes to build, and these students are already pouring a lot of their money into tuition, into being a student. So how do we, much the same way that you can balance the life between a college athlete and their studies, how can we balance that life between a college entrepreneur who has all these financial and time commitments as a student, but they also want to start a business and they can't wait until they graduate.
And so in the piece it mentioned that a lot of these students already have experience starting their own businesses even before they come to school.
Yes, and this is kind of a challenge because in the old world, it used to be we would train them up in their senior year and then they would graduate and maybe start a business. Sometimes they're not even starting businesses in college, as we saw in the clip, but even before they come to UVM, they're starting businesses. So we're in the process of how do we reorient our curriculum, how do we reorient the resources on campus, both physical in terms of space as well as money, so that they can be successful both as students as well as entrepreneurs.
And this is a growing field too. You're seeing more students interested in doing these things.
This is very true. The number of students who are coming out of the woodwork is quite incredible. There was a survey the university did recently, and they found that over 10% of the students are involved in some form of business. Probably self-employed, it could be mowing lawns, but it's also, as we saw in the clip, people starting placement services for students in high schools. It's amazing.
And so you also work with UVM faculty who are starting their own businesses, pairing them with business students. What are some of those collaborations like?
Well, some of the resources at UVM for faculty is there's the SparkVT program, which is a commercialization grant program so that faculty are in their laboratories and they're developing new technology, but generally there's funding for basic research and there's funding for final finished products, but not for that gap in between, that so-called valley of death, as we call it. And so the SparkVT program is to help them get over that hump so they can have enough money to do those initial tests so they can get the products on the road to market. And what I do in some of my technology commercialization classes is I bring in those researchers with these cool technologies, match them up with business students, and then the business students help write business plans for the researchers. So the researchers are getting free consulting from the students are getting consulting experience, and everyone's learning in a very real-life way with cutting-edge technologies, which will hopefully save the world in the next couple of years.
It is all about the connections, too, that these people are making.
Yeah, it's in part about the resources, the monetary resources, the physical resources, the spaces. But if you can get smart people in the room with the right resources, they'll do amazing things. You don't need to guide them. You just put them together and amazing things happen.
But they also have to be salesmen, too. The pitch is really important.
Oh, definitely. I would agree. When I talk about pitching, there's three things you need. There's the narrative test. You have to be able to pitch. There's the numbers test. It has to be feasible. But there's also the people test. People have to believe that the folks who are doing the pitching can actually carry through on what they're promising that they'll do.
And so the students practice.
The students practice. We have our UVM Entrepreneurship Club where the students meet on a weekly basis. Sometimes they have guest speakers. Sometimes they have small informal pitch-offs against each other where they're bouncing their ideas off of each other. Just getting that new practice all the time. It's important to keep doing it. There's a fellow in California, Guy Kawasaki, who's wrote a book called The Art of the Start. And he says, entrepreneurs say, I pitch, therefore I am.
There you go. Well, for more information on the LaunchVT program, you can check out the website. It's launchvt.com. That's our program for today. Thanks for joining us. Thank you for joining me.
Thank you.
We'll see you again next time on Across the Fence.